Dear Legends in the Making, my son is ranked, recruited, and reposted, but no one trusts him to lead. And deep down, I think he knows it. Welcome to Legends in the Making, the show for parents, founders, and visionaries ready to lead from clarity, not chaos. I'm your host, Erin Sarles Bowers, mother, movement builder, and truth teller. And this is where we return to who we really are. So let's dive right in. Dear Legends in the Making, I don't really know how to say this without sounding ungrateful. My son has everything he prayed for, a D1 offer, highlight reels, and followers. But lately I've noticed something I can't unsee. He gets attention, not respect. Coaches promote him, but don't trust him to lead. Teammates praise his game, but do not lean on him when things get hard. At home, he scrolls more than he speaks. He avoids accountability, and I can tell he wants to be the guy. He just doesn't know how to be one. I spent so many years trying to get him seen, I forgot to make sure he was ready. We got the jersey, but now I'm wondering, did I help build a name or a man? A parent who wants more than stats. So, thank you. A parent who wants more than stats. Such a profound and impactful letter, and I think really hits to the truth of where we are at culturally and societally is we are very focused on the superficial results. We like the stats. We like, this was my 440 time. I did this. I had this many receptions. I can jump this height, whatever it might be. Every sport has its own statistics. So too many to name here. But the point is sometimes we get so caught in that we think that deems our worthiness, you know. And at the end of the day, being an incredibly talented athlete is such a gift, but it's a gift to use your platform to help others step into their greatness. Why do we admire the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the John Elways, the Peyton Mannings? I mean, the list goes on. Why do we respect guys like that? Because they really embody something bigger than themselves and more than just sports. And so, how do we step out of just the stats and what's happening on the field or on the court and really take a step back and go, who are you becoming? And how do you use sports as a vehicle to really develop the character and the person that you are supposed to be? And so that's where the whole concept of blueprint to blue chip came about, is how do you really start to build legacy and understand that what you're doing as a student athlete goes well beyond sports, because this is a snippet and moment in time. And this goes for everybody. How do you develop the character, integrity, and discipline to become the person that you're meant to be? Whether, if we take it outside of the sports realm, whether it's like you're the CEO or an attorney at law or whatever the case might be, everything is just one moment in time as a tool to help you become the greatest version of yourself. So let's start with the harsh truth. Respect doesn't come from the logo on your chest. It comes from the life you live when no one's watching. This average statistic of how long people last in the NFL now is less than a year. Think about that. So you work so hard to play at the professional level, and most guys, the average used to be 3 to 4 years between both the NBA in the NFL. The average time now has pretty much cut in half. Like you might make it and you might make it there a year. So what are you going to do beyond that? Okay, so I wore the Denver Broncos jersey. So I, wore the LA Lakers jersey. Whatever the case might be, that was a flash moment in time. But how do you use that to open other doors and serve people? How do you take those skills and talents and transfer them? As well as if you were to ask a lot of those guys, could you had a different career in the NFL? And most of them will tell you yes, because it comes down to I didn't have the bricks and the building blocks to maintain myself at that level because I allowed the fact that I made it get to my head. And so again, that's where Blueprint comes in, is we are here to help you build the foundation to have the legacy that God brought you here to have. And whether that's impacting youth after you're done playing the game, whether it's leading teams in boardrooms, in corporations, building your own corporations, whatever it might be, your legacy goes well beyond the field. And so your jersey might open doors, but it's character that keeps them open. Think about that. Character keeps the doors open, whether that's other adventures down the road and who did you network with while you were playing the sport. It keeps the doors open to continue to play the sport if that's what you want to do, because the competition becomes, it's insane. People are as good, if not better than you. So how do you continuously keep the door open? And it comes down to the character, who you are. And we have all these lies and misnomers to overcome. Our culture tells us talent equals trust. And the reality is leadership is earned in the dark and not awarded on the stage. It's how you're showing up when the alarm clock goes off early in the morning. What are the routines and systems and processes you have to be in the best mental and physical capacity that you could possibly be in? Everybody should have a routine. It should be unrelenting, and it has to be day in and day out, moment by moment. There is no time off. If we were really dialed in and we were really present and we were really in the now, sharp, focused, and heightened, we would never need time off because we're so present, it's not exhausting. We become exhausted when we live too far in the past or we're too far focused in the future. But if we're grounded in the now, that's where all the energy and excitement and fuel comes from in order to be wildly successful. So when we think about high school sports culture, it's just become addicted to performance. It's kind of like, who's the next greatest thing? You start to even see it in high school, kids moving and getting recruited to go play at other high schools. It's like, are you going there because their coach is the best? Like, you've got to really start to fundamentally ask yourself, what are you chasing and why are you chasing it? And we're rewarding superficial performance and not the character of who these young men and women are becoming. I just spoke with an ex-NFL athlete, and they expressingly told myself, I thought I was the cat's meow. I could run this fast, I could jump this high. And ultimately, that arrogance came back to bite me in the ass. And so are we teaching our kids what's really important? We're raising kids right now, especially as we move into this NIL phase, to chase visibility and likes and followers and not responsibility. Are you teaching your kid how to build a personal brand that's beyond looks and that's beyond speed? And brands, are you looking at young individuals that have high quality character that you would want representing your brand? You know, you have, you choose the wrong kid that does the wrong thing, that could be detrimental to your organization. But how often are we just so caught up in the superficiality of the world versus like, this is our message, this is who we are, this person embodies these values, and we want to showcase them. We've become so lacking as a society that all we do is chase money and superficial things. Money is not a reflection of your value, is who you are as a human being. It's far from it, because our inherent worth comes from within us. It comes from who we are at the core of our being. I mean, I've known this and I've heard this again today as I was preparing for this episode, but the as our DNA spells God eternal within the body. Go look it up. You can search it up on the internet. Um, the individual, his name's Greg. I'm going to butcher his last name, but if I have a second before the show ends, or I'll drop it in the show notes, is somebody that I heard speak about this over a year ago. I have to frequently remind myself, like, we are the image of God Himself. Our DNA tells us as much. Every ancient language, when you lay out the elements of our DNA and what those numbers represent in relation to all the ancient languages, in all the ancient languages, it spells the exact same thing. God eternal within the body. So what if we remembered that we are an emanation of source itself? We are got God Himself within our body, and we are here to be godlike in the sense of we are to love God with all our heart, and we are here to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So are we getting grounded in the character of who we are, knowing that each one of us is uniquely different? We all have a unique soul blueprint, a unique soul frequency that is required on this earth to make this earth a better place. Are we focused on developing that character through integrity, which means I'm doing that when nobody's watching? Because guess what? I know God's watching. So am I showing up in the essence of myself? And then am I doing that religiously, day in and day out? We have the power. We need to take our power back and reclaim it. In a world that is got so much noise, whether it's social media, YouTube, OnlyFans, I mean, the list goes on and on and on of stuff that is distracting us from the truth of who we are. And are we willing to take a stand for the truth of who we are and become who we are? So this mission at Blueprint to Bluechip far exceeds, are you becoming the best athlete? We want you to be the best athlete so you build a platform of influence and legacy. But at the heart of it is, who are you becoming? Are you becoming the young man or woman that God created you to be? And so this is an unrelenting pursuit of greatness. So when we think of respect, respecting ourselves, it's the fruit of submission to God, to structure, to discipline. If we really respect ourselves, then we are honoring who we are. You know, not to use a religious example, but I think there's no better example. You know, when Jesus came, he didn't come with the title. We have ultimately given him a title. That's 5 million episodes worth of dialogue we could have. That's not what this is about. But he came with the authority born of humility. He came with authority born of humility. He understood. Jesus, to me, is the ultimate example of how we are supposed to be. His example isn't one of we're supposed to worship him. His is an example of this is how we're supposed to be. He knew who he was, and he embodied that, and he lived that in every moment of every day. That's what he did. That we so often forget. We have the same qualities and the same capacity and the same capabilities, and he came here to show us that. Not to have us worship him, but for us to understand in order to live the most fulfilling life, we just had to be like him. I need to love God with all my heart, and I need to love my neighbor as I love myself. I need to be in an endless state of love and be giving that to the world, because in that giving, I'm going to receive that back. So that's what we came here to do. Not to worship, not to idolize, but to understand that we actually have had a living example of the way that we are supposed to be as a human being. So how do you use your sports and your schoolwork and all of those things to embody the greatness, the exceptionalism of who you are? We so often talk here at Blueprint about raising the 1%, the exceptional. Guess what? We all have the capacity to be exceptional. Are we willing to step into it? Are we willing to look at the hard truths? Are we willing to see our behavior and correct it and not pass blame and not take accountability, but to really understand who we're supposed to be? And that's what this system at Blueprint to Bluechip is all about, is creating systems and processes for you to step into your exceptionalism, for you to step into the greatness of who you are, and to lead and to be an example for all those around you, both you as a parent, you as a student athlete, and you as a coach. And so we want to address the whole ecosystem that's surrounding the student athlete. Because when everybody's on board and everybody's working together, that's when real change and real magic happens. So again, I just call you to always remember who you are and who you came here to be. And is everything that you're doing a reflection of that exceptional nature that God created you in? So don't just raise a child who wants to get applause. Raise somebody who commands respect, who is leading, who's impacting change through the essence of who they are. So I'd love to see all of you next week on Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. We're doing a workshop free. It's called The Student Athlete is the Bus Driver. It's a one-day activation to shift your family from performance to purpose. So if you'd like to join and get the link for that, comment reset in the comments below. I'll send you the link to register. We would love to have you there. We are on a mission to change lives by helping people remember who they are, step into the greatness of who they are by remembering it's all about your character, who, your integrity, the how, and the discipline as the what. So I could not be more excited. I'd love to have you all there. So register below I'll get you all the information. And until our next episode, continue to be exceptional.